Welcome everyone to the DaveCam PPR iRacing League Tier 1 Race 3. Oh god, that's not Spa Practice shot. That is actually we are beautiful Sebring, or Sebring, whichever way you want to call it. We've got nice and low temps, but we're actually during the day, so it's quite a surprise. I was expecting much warmer temps. But it's Sebring nevertheless, so it could be quite interesting, whether it's hot or warm. I mean hot or cold. It could be quite difficult to drive. Well, when you're trying to push to the limit, as all of our drivers are here. So as you can see, you've got your pre-race info. We've seen Alex Gull take the first two round wins, and those wins were great. Although in Spa, it was actually it was a lot closer than it was at Road America. But Alex was still the fastest. But in GTE, we've actually got a bit of a championship fight already, which is what we all want to see here. Even if the drivers don't necessarily want to be the ones being the runner-ups in the championship. But we've still got a good few races to go, and I'll quickly go through the championship standings, and then we can hop on with practice. So for LMP2, we've got Alex Gao with 68 points. He got both the two fastest laps and 2 pole positions. Tom Dahlman with 50 points. Daniel J. Thomas with 36, Wooten Ellison with 26, Harry Brooks with 22, tied with Chris Scarr with also 22 points, that's 5th and 6th, Jack Thompson with 21 points in 7th, Jamie Lawrence, our league owner and PPR owner really, with 20 points, Dave Cameron, one of the league co-founders, with 17 points in P9, Adam Banfield with 16 points in P10, Josh Wiggins 2 with 9 points, Alex Valhalla with 7, and Ankerson with 6, tied with David Good in P14 and 13. And then everyone else in the standing did not finish or did not get any points, so I won't read them out. In GT, we have Boo Rigo after his fantastic win and 1 fastest lap. He's got 57 points. Then we've got Dan Ball in 2nd with 42 points. Close behind, Chris Barrett with 40 points. 4th, we got Reese Newland with 39 points, but he's also got the most penalty points so far, 5. But he also has a fastest lap there. Jack Anderwick in 5th with 34 points. Richard Zulovic, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that again, with 22 points in P6. Edward Hope with 18 points. Carolyn Martin with 15 points in P8. Jack Hedgecox with 15 points, also 3 penalty points for him. Eric Newman in P10 with 13 points. Derek Ekmanis with 11 points. And then Alex Rivera in P12 with 9 points. Zach Vorster in P13 with 8 points. William Hope with also 8 points. So that's P13, P14 tied. And Remigius Bartasius with 7 points in P15. And P16, rounding off the championship standings, would be Nils Isaacson with 6 points. There's a few other people, but obviously they got do not starts, so they don't really count the championship fight right now. Okay, so we can move to the Tiny Town. So currently on the top of practice, we've got Harry Brooks. We've got the class overlay fixed now, and let's watch the TV cameras. So that's nice and working. So we've got Harry Brooks on provisional pole right now for practice, not far behind Alex Gull. So right now we're in the high 45s. I expect that to maybe drop to low 45s, high 44s by the end of quali. In the race, obviously the lap times won't go that much down. Maybe with some slipstream, I'm not sure though. Let me... Oh, I forgot something. 1 second. There you go. Okay, now we can see the class results. So we've got Dan Bowen on provisional pole for GTE with 56.3. 4 times behind we've got Boo Wiggle. Let me set that the gap. With 56.7, and then Zach Vorster, Chris Bauer, Edward Hope, and Brian LaRue of the people that have done laps. Oh, Zach Bull stops into P2 now, 3/10 off Dan Bull. So right now it looks like a BMW front row, but obviously it's just practice. And no one else is really that far off. I'll be watching the timing charts to see if there's anything going on, but right now it looks like there's not that many people in the lobby, or at least doing laps yet. We should be okay though. A little bit of a practice battle. That's Chris Barrett and it should be Boo Wiggle. Chris Barrett improves his lap time. He's exactly 1/10 off Boo Wiggle. Kind of looks like the track is quite clear for these two to have a little bit of a scrap. Obviously it's practice so they won't push too hard, but if they want to, they can actually get a bit of practice going on for that. Ooh, Boo goes wide but does keep it together. That could have been really nasty. When you get on that gravel you really want to get off it fast. He never lost that much time to Chris ahead, so he can maybe stay on the slipstream and just have some nice lap times as long as Chris doesn't slow him down. Something happened. Alex went off track, didn't catch it though, so that's unlucky. So now we've got 7 LMP2 drivers, at least in the timing tower, and we've got 8 GTE drivers, it's just 2 of them aren't on the timings yet. So currently the only on-track battle I think is between Chris and Boo. Chris taking it a little bit too wide on the run up to turn 2. Does get his wheels back on the track. You don't want to brake when your wheels on the grass. It will just send you flying. I have to say Sebring looks fantastic. It's my favourite track, actually maybe one of my top tracks. It's honestly so fun to drive, it looks amazing, and especially in the night. Seeing the fireworks when you come around the finish line, it's fantastic. Quite a close-up with the cars there, zooming by. Oh, Chris gets the rear a little bit loose there, keeps it together, but Boo's all over him now. Will he try and go for an overtake? Maybe Chris is feeling the pressure already. There's an LMP2 driver coming behind, let's see who that is. That's Chris Scar. He's probably just gonna wait because there's no point even rushing to overtake them. Chris going a little bit wide again, but I don't think Boo can really capitalize on it yet. He does get the nice pole though. And Chris Scar gets by without any issues. Just gets by on the straight, the easiest thing to do really. Is he gonna go for a move? He's definitely got that slipstream. Very close to his rear. But it doesn't seem like the lap times are improving, so this fight, or at least Chris did have a little bit of an off. Well, at least a few mistakes, but Boo is just hanging behind, and we also have Edward Hope behind now. Maybe trying to join in on the little battle, but he was letting them by. I think he just started his laps, so the right thing to do. That's a perfect shot, honestly. Few beautiful GTs, and all of them are different in their own way. Oh, is Edward gonna try and go for a move? No, it's getting quite close though. Maybe getting a little bit impatient. Yeah, he's gonna lift here. Oh, goes a little bit wide, clips that grass. Still alive. At least the gaps increased a little bit, makes it easier for him to corner. Maybe not getting the aero wash as much. Let's see if the little Porsche can catch up to the Corvette on the straight. I think he's closing in a little bit, yeah, just not enough though. Didn't really even gain much of a 10th there. Oh, I think Edward looked up there. Barely keeps it out of the wall. Good job by him though. Doesn't have to go back to the pits. Chris Barrett improves now. He goes ahead of Boo. So that's a Ferrari on the podium now. Or on the practice podium. Still 3/10 off Dan Bull. That BMW really looks fast now. Even with the power penalty from the bop. We also just saw Eric Newman's size lap, 57 nearly flat. So that's nearly 7/10 off Dan Bull. We haven't seen any new LMP2 laps or any leader switches, so it's quite calm right now. Everyone's just trying to get their lap times out. Harry Brooks went a little bit wide there, I think. Just avoided the curve not to damage the wheels, damage the floor, which is you have to be very wary of that when you're driving an LMP2 or LMP1. The floor can just get damaged just like that. Driving over one curve and that's it. Your engine will blow or you'll just suffer massive damage. GT, it's not so much to worry about. So we just see how you're trying to warm up his tires right before his flying lap. So we can try and hop on the gyro to maybe see how it goes. So he does seem to have a clear track ahead of him, 11 seconds to Brian LaRue in the Porsche. So now going into turn 1, keeping it tight, not hitting the wall, and now trying to get that outside curb. Now into turn 2, hard braking. Keeps the car together even though it tries to step out a tiny bit. Now into turn 4, I believe this is entering the straight, trying to get a good exit. Maybe not ideal there, but might be able to do. So now hammering that throw right up to the hairpin. Gonna be braking around the first cons here. Yes, there we go. Trying to get the inside curb and accelerate as soon as you can get the car turned in. Yes, wonderful. Wooten Ellison hops into P5 now ahead of Adam Banfield. 90-degree right-hander here, or so it seems. Now trying to keep the car together. We do see... who was that? I think there was a car there on the side, but Harry's lap looking quite good so far. Wasn't the fastest he can go, but obviously in practice you want to find the limits of the car, and then in quali you really want to squeeze them out. Now we're going through the Sebring S's. They do have a name, but oh, he goes a bit wide again. Has to go off on the curb after the runoff, so he abandons his lap. There's Alex Gull lapping down ball. The wonderful black and pink livery. Oh, we actually just saw Dan hit a fast lap. Extends his lead in practice, 56.2. Goes a bit wide now into turn 1, and oh, his rear goes a bit loose. Okay, he just desynced there. That was... oh. So he clipped the curb and clipped the grass and tried to get back on track, and then the car just sent him off there. So what's interesting is, personally, that line we just saw onto the Almond Straight, I personally see GTs taking it a lot wider. Well, personally, in LMP1, you don't really need to take it that wide. Obviously, a wider line might give you a faster exit, but, well, obviously I'm not as fast as all of these drivers here. But it's quite interesting to see the different lines that people take. Obviously, you might take a wider line if you want to prioritize a better exit. But, for instance, I usually take a bit of a tighter one. So maybe we might see some other people doing the same and just diving in for the overtake when the GTs take a wider line. But it's something to be very careful of, because it can end badly if the GT is not ready for you. If they're taking the wide line and then coming back for the inside curb, you have to be very careful with it, because it could end up with like just getting slammed off the track. For the GT, it doesn't really hurt that much, but for an LMP, it can be really painful. That one slam and you're losing so much top speed damage. Well, one thing I have to say about GT is the Corvette actually fits in very well. At the start I was skeptical. How does a Corvette fit in the GT field? Obviously, I don't watch IMSA, or really any GT sports, both from availability and just my personal lack of interest in it, at least for the real-life TV watching. I love driving it, but watching it not so much, maybe. Well, watching it on iRacing here is fantastic anyways. But now, like, we're how much? A good few weeks in since the release of it, and it's really fitting well. It's probably one of the faster cars. Obviously, it does depend on who drives it. The BMW still seems to be quite dominant, but in ILMS, it's not so much. And now we see Eric Newman clipping the gravel the same way Boo Riggle did, but he goes straight to the wall. And that's massive damage, but obviously since it's practice, you can just reset and then come out with a fresh car. That was an unlucky one. Now we see Dan Bull coming down to turn 2. Quite a fun corner in my opinion, because there's very different ways you can take it, especially with traffic. Like, it's not your usual corner, just hard braking 90 degree. Like, you actually have to drag the brake a bit more, or just brake later so that you can actually turn in, because the curb's quite long there and the corner's quite long. And infamous hairpin, I can't do it personally. It's very hard to get it perfect, especially in an LMP where visibility is so poor. Overtaking there, oh, that's even worse. So it does seem like we only have 7 LMP2 drivers this race and 8 GT drivers. It's just William Hopel weighing on to complete his lap so they can show up on the timing tower. I was meant to mention why I'm alone this time around. Brian's not able to make it today. I won't go much further on the topic, but yeah, it sucks. Obviously, I won't be able to do the sponsoring note. I'm not that good at that kind of thing, but I'll try my best. And we did see Chris Scar clip the grass as well. That nearly killed Tom, but he did keep the car together. Tom just went a bit wide to avoid him. So right now we do see the drivers pushing a bit harder, just trying to find how far they can push the car, and trying to figure out if they push it too hard, what can they do. Obviously you don't really want to push the car that much more because it'll just go flying off maybe. Especially like going out turn 1, you can go on the gravel and go flying off, as we saw one of the GTs. But practice is good. 1 hour of practice, especially if you do practice before the actual race sessions, it's fantastic. Because honestly, it's great to see, like, during the first few hours of practice, especially learning a new track, how you go from, oh, I don't know where I'm going, to, oh, I'm actually nailing these curbs now, nailing the apex, the corner entries, the corner exits. Maybe through some corners where you didn't think you could go flat, you go flat now. And then seeing those lap times slowly drop. But I think we've got some off time to say thank you to all of the sponsors and organisers that put all the hard work and effort into organising this league. So we start off with PPR. Thank you, Jamie Lawrence and Brian, for co-commentating whenever he's here with me. Dave Cameron for joining up with PPR to make this league possible. Also all of the other PPR teams behind the scenes, so Derek McManus for, I believe, Tier 1. Then we've got the Tier 2 and Tier 3 organisers that do the standings. Obviously, we don't see this on stream because this is Tier 1, but hopefully one day we can get a stream for those guys as well. Those guys are, I believe, GT3 as well instead of LMP2. Also, big thank you to the sponsor Down Caravanning. As Brian always says, for all your caravanning needs, check them out. Chris Scar hops into P3 now, overtakes Tom. Well, Tom's actually right in front of him, so technically he overtakes him on the standings, but not physically, on track. Right now it doesn't seem like there's any rapid lap times coming in. It seems like everyone's slowly improving, but it doesn't seem like it's anything massive. Chris does get a bit of a lockup, but does go off track onto the runoff, at least after the tarmac runoff, so it doesn't really hit the grass and slide off. That runoff is very convenient actually, because you lock up, you can go there and come back. Obviously you do get a slowdown there, but at least you're not on the grass getting off track and being very dangerous. Chris clips a little bit of the grass into turn 2 and now hits the wall. Ooh, that car went flying up. And that's the bonnet gun. Let's see if we can get a replay of that actually. Yeah, wow, that car just got stuck on the tyre wall. That's something we've never seen before, really. Turn 2 isn't one of those corners I'd consider very difficult, but obviously if you clip the grass going on the run up to it, it can get very dangerous. And I think we've seen someone clip the gravel onto turn 4, exit of turn 4 onto the straight. That's... I'm not sure if they hit the wall, I don't think so. I am seeing many off-track events in my little box, but I don't think that any crashes, at least it doesn't say they crashed, they just said they went off track. But as we saw with the Ferrari of Chris, an off track could end up being a crash very easily. So right now we've got two different drivers, both on provisional pole in each of their respective classes. So we've got Harry on provisional pole in LMP2. Faster than Alex, and we've got Dan Bull leading the GTE class by some margin, and then Boo Wiggle, our race winner at Spa, is a whole second off. Not sure what's really going on. Maybe some drivers are just not ready yet, or not on the top form today. But obviously there's not much you can do if you're not feeling well. Had a crash just now. Don't know who exactly it was, but maybe we'll see around here as we come around sunset. Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so I think it may be... No, it wasn't Tom. It's something cool to show. I finally figured out how to get the team names fully working. Obviously, we had them before. They worked for the timing tower, which I never showed. But for the results, the drivers who put in the team names in a form, obviously, on Discord, do have them appearing now. I've had another crash. I'm not sure why. So I can show the team names for the current drivers in the timing tower if anyone wants to see, but I'll do it now. So obviously, we've got quite a few different teams. We've got a PPR driver. We've got, I think, a few drivers without team names. But we do see various different esports teams, some more well known than others. For instance, Satellite Racing, Alex Go is part of a quite competitive team. I believe it's the... actually, I can't remember the name now, but it's a popular series, a custom league, sorry, that actually recently had a race. I think it was yesterday. And we also have a few less known teams, or teams we have yet to really see anything very, not really relevant, but anything loud about. But obviously this league can change it. If we get a race winner from any of the teams we don't really know yet, we definitely know that team now, and we're going to look forward to great things from them. So I'll switch back to full names. Maybe at some point we can get like a team race or endurance race. Obviously, depends how long it will be, depends on the broadcast coverage. But it should be quite fun to watch, really. An endurance race with basically the best drivers we really have in the community that are actually willing to race, not professionally. No, in a way I'd call everyone semi-professional, since they do put in the effort and the work as you would do for real sports or anything you really want to be good at. So it's honestly admirable that people put in the time and practice to join us in such a league that really gives us some very competitive racing. And it's obviously, this is not waffle, like, I genuinely mean it. We've seen some fantastic racing at Spa, races, fights between drivers that lasted the whole race. Traffic made it even closer. And obviously when you have a championship fight as well, it gets even more intense. Like, maybe you wouldn't go for that move on traffic, but obviously when you know you've got a championship to win or fight for, you might go for that move, even if it's maybe a bit risky. So it doesn't seem like we've, as I said before, not that many time improvements, but we did see Chris Barrett at some point get a 56 nearly flat. That's 2.5 tenths of down ball, so that's the closest we got from anyone so far. So the Ferrari of Chris splits the two BMWs that were on the front row. In LMP2 it didn't seem like we've had many improvements, but we did see one GT and one LMP2 join the grid for today. They still have yet to complete laps, so we'll see them show up in a moment. Eric Newman improves his time. I believe that's P4 now for him. Very colourful livery from Brian LaRue in the Porsche. Ooh, the rear end really steps out, and he's gone off. Did he hit the wall? No, he didn't. It's gonna restart, isn't he? Yes. Let's pop on board with the other Hulk brother that has yet to set a lap. Corvette and Alex. Oh, Wait. Oh, so Edward Hope is in the Porsche while William Hope is now in the Corvette. But they both have the same liveries still. They really look like penguins, but if penguins had white feathers for like the main color. And the orange beaks, as usual. So yet again, we see them quite close together. Whether it's the race or practice, these guys love to fight. Oh, the Porsche of, I believe that's Edward, went a bit wide, and he did again. And he did hit the wall there, so he didn't save it like he did last time, but obviously not a mistake he wants to make in the race. And William pits in, locking up the fronts, I believe there. Maybe the rows. So they're boxing in. We do have Daniel Thomas, quite above the pace, maybe he's saying his first laps. We did also see Derek McManus join our grid for GTE now. So we're slowly getting a few more drivers. Obviously practice still has 12 more minutes. I believe we're still waiting on Jamie Lawrence, who's on his way home. Eagerly trying to make his way home to join us in the race. Alex Valhalla sets his time. Quite a bit far off, but I think that's his first lap, so we can hop on board with his second lap. See how he can do right off the bat. Getting it quite nice and tight for turn 2 into turn 4 now. I think he turned in a little bit too early, now goes a bit wide into gravel. Keeps it together though, keeps it together. Good job by him. So now he's going to have to wait another lap to set a time. Well, at least a competitive time. He's got the United Autosports livery on his Dallara P217. I believe United Autosports was the team that won 24 Hours of Le Mans this year. Not the virtual, but the real one. We do also see Jack Anderick in the Corvette set a time, 3.4 seconds off, but obviously that may have been his first lap, so we now see him coming around into Sunset Curve. Trying to keep it together. Sunset is one of those corners we can really mess up, just maybe braking a bit too hard or braking while you're turning in. Oh, okay, I don't think we saw an improvement in Jack's lap. Didn't seem like anything changed for the timing tower. Not many further improvements by any other drivers currently. So we're in the 55s for GT, so I believe low 55s. Maybe a 55 flat is possible in qualifying, but I don't really want to push on it too much. For LMP2, probably low 45. I'm not sure if Harry was doing a quality lap and Alex as well. Maybe not, but we'll see. Obviously the temperatures are a bit lower than what we'd expect from the usual official series, so we had ILMS before on this track, on Sebring, with the new LMP2 and Corvette this season. So let's see, Jack Anderick can only improve from here. Obviously we also have William Hope and Derek McManus yet to do laps. William's on track right now. Jack using all the track limits he can. Wonderful there. You could see his wheel perfectly on the curb. A few millimeters to the left and he would have clipped the gravel. We see Adam Banfield improve. 146.355. So that puts him 3 thousandths ahead of Tom Connor-Dowman. So Tom's fallen down 2 places since maybe around the middle of the practice session. So let's see how Jack does going through Sunset Curve again. I'm going to take a tighter camera with him. Obviously GTs have to take a much wider entrance than maybe LMP1 for instance, and they have to brake a lot earlier. Keeping it together, using all the track limits yet again. Let's see. This should be a valid lap as we've been on board with him. Yeah, 58.1, so 4 times soft blind LaRue. So he still has some time to gain if he wants to remain a bit more competitive for the race. We've seen Alex Valhalla set a lap, so that's P8 for him, 4 seconds off. That was his second lap, I believe. So the one he invalidated, if I'm not wrong. So let's hop on board with someone else. So we're on board with William Hope. Let's go back home. So now we're going through Sunset Curve as well, another Corvette. I usually thought the car was quite rear happy, like it would be loose, but I believe these drivers have really got the setups right. Whether it's through external practice or buying setups, they really do have the right ones, because I remember the Corvette just wanted to spin a few times, depending on what setup I was using. So that's P7 for William Hope. That's roughly 100.5 off Brian, faster than Brian LaRue. So right now we've got the BMWs taking the 2 podium positions, Chris splitting them in half with P2, and we do see Corvette, Porsche, Corvette, Porsche, Corvette, Porsche. Or roughly in that pattern for the rest of the GT grid. Obviously for LMP2 we only have one LMP2 car, so we've got the cool dog Alex, eager to maybe get a 3rd win this season, but obviously everyone else is also eager to steal the championship from him. We've got quite a few races left though, so anything can really happen. 2 wins, but losing every other race could mean that Alex won't actually win the championship. But I don't think he'll give up just willingly like that. It's looking like a good lap by Alex. Getting the track limits perfect again. Another driver doing it perfectly. It's very impressive. And great to watch. So now we're watching the Sebring S's, or at least that's how I like to call them. Now Alex is entering the Almond Straight. Playing it perfect on the track limits again. Maybe in quali these drivers will try and push a bit more through those little exits. You can maybe gain a little bit more time by keeping the throttle pinned. So now through Sunset. Yeah, so we do see that the 2 is taking a bit of a quicker line, obviously. They can afford to go a bit deeper. Braking a bit later, obviously, they've got the downforce for it. So Alex did not improve there. We'll hop on board with another lap from him, as that seems to be the current fight in the timing tower. At least it's the closest drivers we really have on the front of the grid. We do have quite a few fights lined up already between, for instance, Adam Banfield and Tom, if you want to add on Chris Scar to that as well. We've also got William Hope and Brian LaRue. It was quite close. I think Alex may have went a bit too deep there. We'll find out by the end of the lap. But Lord Alara coming into view, getting closer and closer. This corner right here that Alex has gone through, it's so deadly in GT, or at least used to be before the tyre and aero update. It was honestly, on cold tyres you'd have to watch your throttle honestly, or take a much wider line unless you want to die, because the car would just step out, or at least it did for me. Obviously it's you can keep it together, you just have to know how and have the reflexes for it, but it was something to be wary of. So now we see Alex approaching the end of the lap. He's down the Almond Straight, approaching Sunset Curve with gonna be 4.5 minutes left of practice. Derek Ekman sets his first lap, 2.7 seconds off Dan Bull, 58.499. So perfectly mid 58. Still has to gain some time to fight with the rest of the GTE pack. So now we see Alex come across the line. What lap time was it? 47.4, so as I said, he may have lifted up a bit throughout the lap, not to push too hard, and obviously the hairpin wasn't ideal there. So it does show how hard these drivers are already pushing if they can barely improve after what looked like a minor mistake. So we have the PPR Corvette. Oh, PPR Ferrari, sorry. Looked like not sure why I called it a Corvette from behind. Beautiful, beautiful livery. Not sponsored to say that. What we are sponsored by is Diamond Caravanning. Technically PPR and the DaveCam. I have to say, iRacing looks very beautiful. It looks very realistic. Although you'd have games like ACC that look great, but iRacing, in my opinion, looks fantastic. Obviously, sometimes you do see the aging of it. Maybe some grass textures on the side, or maybe some pit crew cars, things that are off in the distance. Obviously, as you can see off the track. But details on the track and on the car are actually very good. Especially the interiors, they're fantastic. So William Hope improves. He's now ahead of his teammate in P7 with a 56.8. We've seen Derek McManus come across the line. He leapfrogs Jack Anderwick with a 58.039. Still 2.2 seconds off, but those two might have a scrap throughout the race. We haven't seen Alex Valhalla or Daniel Thomas really improve yet. And Jack Anderwick at that as well. So I'm not sure if the drivers are reaching the limit already or what is the reason for them not actually being able to push out a bit more. 2 seconds is quite a gap, and per lap would be quite unlucky for them, really. Maybe Sebring's one of the weaker tracks, and we do see Alex Valhalla go off the track. Not sure what happened there, and Derek McMahon is driving off into the runoff to reset the car. Not too sure what happened there. He just didn't get enough brake pressure. I'm not sure if he broke too late, but yeah, that's it. So now he's in the pits. You see Adam Banfield come off track as well. Let's see what happened here. So, oh, okay, that's unlucky. Went a bit too tight into turn 1, bounced off the wall off track. So he's just decided to give up there. So it doesn't seem like we have that much rapid improvements. Oh, but speaking of improvements, we've got Jack Anderwick 1.5 seconds off now. We're 57.3, so he improved quite a lot. That's a good 7, 8 times. So now he leaves Derek McManus at the back of the grid and pushes up a bit more towards the midfield. Still 1.5 seconds off, which is not where you necessarily want to be, but any improvement's a good improvement. We see William Hope warming up his tyres in the pit lane. Maybe he's waiting for his teammate. Oh, that's a beautiful BMW. That matte finish. And the shiny red. It looks like a minimalistic design from the front, but it looks really nice. And we've got the... I think that's the United Autosports. Yeah, that's the United Autosports LMP2 car of Alex Valhalla. Obviously, I won't call the United Autosports car in the race for obvious reasons. It's just a livery he has. So practice is over now, actually. So I believe drivers may get to finish the lap. I don't think so, though, depending on how much time we have between the sessions. And there you go. Never got to finish the lap. Okay, so I'll give it a moment. You can hop on board with some of the drivers who will be beginning their laps. So we've got a few LMP2 drivers, 2 of them, and a few GTE drivers. So let's pop on board with Tom Connor-Darman, our P2 driver for the last 2 races. 2 consecutive middle of the podium finishes. Good job by him. Obviously, maybe he's hoping for a win now, but with Alex go, he definitely has to fight for it. They're not that far off, as seen by Spa. They were very close, especially with traffic ruining the gap Alex had, or was trying to make. Obviously, it did work in Alex's favour from time to time, but for the most part, you want to say traffic is not ideal. So that's the PPR and P2. So our provisional pole sitter, Harry Brooks, is not out on track. And for GTE, Dan Bull is out on track actually, so I can hop on board with him afterwards. I don't think the first laps will be the fastest. Maybe the second lap. Obviously in GT I do think it's the first 2 laps that are really the fastest, and then the rest we get a bit of a drop off. Not sure if LMP2 has the same thing, but we'll find out, I guess. So now coming down the Almond Straight, then Sunset Curve, and then Tom can begin his lap. So you'll be hoping to get a really good exit out of Sunset, maybe go a bit wider and just get as much speed as you can going into turn 1. He may have just done that actually. So now coming across the start-finish line, beginning his lap. So let's hop on board on the gyro. Let's see how close we can get to the wall into turn 1. Getting very close. I believe the tyres may be a bit cold. It doesn't seem like his car got that much turning as the others. Maybe different setups between drivers. Into turn 2, quite nice. Keeping it in between the curbs. Turn 4. Onto the straight. Not getting as much speed as he probably could have, but first lap you might want to just get a baseline, shall I say. So now into the hairpin we go. Making hard. Doesn't seem like there was a lock-up. Getting the inside curb and now getting the outside curb. Dropping a wheel a bit into the depressed curb, shall I say. It's a bit lower than the rest of the track. Seems like a quite good lap so far. Doesn't seem like the fastest lap, but it looks like a clean lap. And that's honestly what you'd want from your first few laps. Especially if you can get a clean lap, that's very fast actually. Getting the track limits perfect there, maybe clipping a little bit of the gravel. So slowly going wider and wider as we see from the drivers, pushing the limits a bit more. So let's see how he does in the S's. Now entrance onto the Almond Straight yet again. Getting the exit quite good. The car giving it a bit of a slide, traction control having to kick in I think a little bit. But Tom's got no issue with that. And now coming through Sunset Curve. This should be one of our first laps being set in LMP2. Across the line he goes. So 4 minutes into quali and that's the first lap. 46 perfectly flat. That's the overlay broken. Let me just quickly fix that. Boom. So we also see Woot and Ellison. I think that may have been his baseline lap. Nothing too fast. We've got Burigor with 55.9 and Chris Barrett 2 times behind. William Hope sang his lap 1.1 seconds off with 57, nearly flat. So now we're slowly seeing the laps come in. Obviously these are the first laps, so I'm not expecting anything superb yet. Towards the end of the session we should see the fastest laps come in. So Jack Anderegg hops in behind William Hope, and now we see Dan Bull take provisional pole, but only by 7/100ths of quicker than Boo Rigor. So Boo definitely improved and maybe saved some of his performance for qualifying. Obviously, as we had interviews last week, not everyone's the qualifying man, shall I say. Some people may be better at quali, some people may be worse at quali. Obviously, the higher you qualify, the easier it should be in the race to get a better position. Howie Brooks sets his lap 46.6, so that's 6 tenths off Tom. We haven't seen a lap yet from Alex Go, our championship leader, and he's coming across Sunset. Oh, we also see Chris Scar set 6 tenths off Tom as well, but that's 6 tenths and 6/100ths. And we see Alex Go pop in behind Tom Connor-Dalman with just 100, sorry, separating him from Tom. So it does seem like Tom's on fantastic pace, unless Alex is a bit slower around Sebring. So this is Alex Valhalla. Oh, let's pop back to him. The United Autosports car. Coming through the Sebring S is keeping it quite nice through there. Now, entrance onto the Almond Straight. Track limit's not fully utilised there, but it should still be an okay lap from the few corners we've seen. Gonna get a blimp view of Sunset Curve. Taking it right to the cones. And now keeping it quite tight through the rest of the corner. Taking it wide on the exit, obviously, to get as much speed as you can. Across the line he goes. That's P6. 1.6 seconds off Tom. 8 tenths off Wood Nelson and P5. So we have yet to see a lap from Eric Newman and Edward Hope. So those two will be eager to make their presence known. We do see Derek Ekmanis improve his lap time 1.1 seconds off Dan Bull now, and we see Edward Hope jump in 5 tenths off in his Porsche. Brian LaRue improves 1.2 seconds off Dan Bull, switches places with Jack Andrewick, and we see Alex Go improve 45.2. That's 7.5 tenths improvement pretty much. So now he takes the lead and has a really good lead at that. So we're seeing Eric Newman going through the Sebring S's again. So this is a GT point of view now. Onto the Omen Straight using a bit more track limits than Alex Valhalla did, for instance. So now we're halfway through qualifying. This is going to be Eric's first lap, I believe. So now it's going to be a sprint to the finish line to see where he places himself on the timing tower. So that's P5, 8 tenths off, splits basically the entire GT grid so that he's right in the middle. If anyone wants to fight for the middle of the points, they want to be where Eric is right now. He should be in range of the leader, but should also be in range of Jack Andrewick. So he's in the perfect position to watch the fights anywhere. So obviously we've seen... no, that's not right. So let's hop on board with Tom, our current P2. Jack Andrewick improves, jumps into P5, 8 tenths off our Dan Bull leader. 56.6. Now we have Tom coming round the start finish straight. Crossing the line, that's a 47. Yeah, it's not an ideal lap from him. Maybe something happened on it. Howie Brooks, our practice provisional pole sitter, doesn't seem to be that much quicker than anyone else really now. So maybe everyone was just saving the performance, as I said before. Obviously he'll want to improve. Daniel Thomas is currently 3 seconds up as well. Alex Valhalla 2 seconds off, so it's not really where they want to be for the race. Daniel Thomas is currently coming into Sunset Curve right now as we speak, so maybe he will be able to improve. Quite a long run down to the start finish straight. Let's see where he places. I believe that may have been his out lap then. So we can stay on board with him and see how he does throughout one lap of Sebring. Takes a bit of a different line than we saw Tom do. Onto turn 4 now, taking it a bit tighter, maybe a bit quicker as well. So we want to see how he takes the hairpin. It's one of the places where you can really mess up, just getting the braking all wrong. Doesn't seem like he got it wrong. Getting the exit quite good as well. Dipping one rear wheel into the depressed curb there. It's looking like a decent lap so far. Obviously there's quite a big spread of the lap times now on the grid. So now we've just got a good few corners left. Corners we can definitely gain a lot of time. I don't think he'll be able to take pole from this lap. He'll definitely have to be flying here, but we'll see. Maybe he can take P3. That's still 1 second off. Getting a bit of counter steer to keep the car together through the entrance onto Ullman Straight. Now we've got one corner left, it's Sunset Curve, quite a long corner at that, and just the run down to the start-finish straight for Daniel Thomas. Where can he place himself? He may have one more lap after this, but he definitely wants to get a good lap now. Taking a much wider line. Let's see where he places. Crosses the line. That's a 47.5, so he overtakes Alex Valhalla, but he's 2.3 seconds off Alex Go. It's definitely not the ideal position to be starting from. That's the last row of the grid currently. GT is a bit closer together than LMP2 currently, but we've still got 3 minutes of qualifying, maybe one lap for each driver. We have seen some small improvements, actually not small improvements, quite large improvements by P2 and P3, so that's Boo Wiggle and Chris Barrett. Boo Wiggle's now 7 thousandths off Dan Ball, so that's a massive improvement. I believe he was 2 tenths off before, and Chris Barrett is now 2 tenths off Dan Ball with a 55.788. So we only see 4 drivers out on track currently on the timings, so I believe these drivers might be finishing it. Scratch that, that's 3 drivers left now. So I don't think anyone really wants to go out anymore. So let's see where Zach Bolster can place himself. That was a perfect transition. Both on the same corner. So that's the BMW of Zach Bolster. I believe the BMW has quite good pace as seen by Dan Bull. Let's see if Zach Bolster can place himself anywhere higher than P9 currently. So entrance onto the Ormond Straight using the track limits. I don't think he was using them perfectly there. Never carried as much speed as I'd expect from them from the fastest laps, but we'll see where he places himself. 1.4 seconds off is not that bad, not as bad as LMP2 currently, but he may want to be a bit closer than that if he wants to fight for maybe a podium. Like coming around the start finish straight, coming across the start finish line, and that's 1 second off, so that's 4 tenths improvement with a 56.5. So maybe there's a few tenths to gain for him, but he's definitely closer than he was before. So now the only driver we have on track right now would have been Alex Valhalla. Actually no, he is out on track. The cameras were being a bit fuzzy. So we've got 1 minute of practice. This should be his last lap now. Let's hop on board in the gyro camera. Through the Sebring S is trying to get as much curve as he can without destroying his car and ruining his lap. Onto the Ormond Straight, having to counter steer a little bit, I believe, to keep the car together. Obviously trying to get on the throw as early as possible. That's why he has to counter steer. So now coming across Sunset, he is currently last on the grid. Can he improve? Just a little bit of an improvement would put him ahead of Daniel Thomas. So now rounds the exit of Sunset. Onto the start finish straight he goes. Can he improve? Oh, sorry, that was his outlap. Okay, we'll stay on board with him as the only driver. He's got 10 seconds left. I don't think he'll get to finish his lap though. I think that might be qualifying over. Yes, that's qualifying over. Okay, so we have the qualifying results. So we'll run down on them. Okay. So we've got Eyes Go on pole with 45.2. Then followed by Tom Connor Diamond, 7 tenths off, 4 PPR Esports. Harry Brooks from Morio.io Racing, 1.1 seconds off. Closely followed by Chris Scar for the privateer team, 1.155 seconds off, so that's very close between them two. Wooten Ellison takes P5, also for the privateer team, 1.598 seconds. Adam Banfield not too far off, maybe half a tenth off for PPR Esports. Daniel Thomas, Morio.io at Racing as well, 2.3 seconds off, and Alex Valhalla runs off the LMP2 grid for Fixed Gaming. Now for GTE. We've got Dan Ball on pole for iRanks.gg Esports, 155.570. Very close behind, 7 thousandths of a second off Boo Wiggle for Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing. Then Chris Barrett, 2 tenths off GTN Racing in his wonderful Ferrari. William Hope, Team Loose, 7 tenths off. Edward Hope, also Team Loose Racing. I have to quickly fix that. That's 8 tenths off. Zach Vorster, 1 second off. Jack Anderwick 1/10 of Zach Vorster, but also 1.1 seconds of Eric Newman, not that far behind, half a tenth, sorry, for Exodus Racing Esports, and then Derek Ekmanis and Brian LaRue round off the grid, 1/10 off each other, 1.4 seconds to 1.5 seconds off Dan Bull. So that's the results from qualifying. Let's see where our drivers will end up after the 45-minute race. So Alex will be leading off the field with Tom Connor-Dalman, and for GT we'll have Dan Bull and Boo Rigor leading off the field. We'll see if Alex can do a bit of a different start. Maybe he may want to not floor as soon as the pace car goes, maybe floor a bit later. We do see varied starts from various drivers, so it's definitely interesting to see how it goes. Okay, so we'll have the interval gap. We don't no longer need the best time, so that's there. So the LMP2 field is not that big this race, only 8 cars, but we do have 10 GTs, so that's 2 more. It might be a bit more interesting for us. So the GT grid got away alright as well for the formation lap. Doesn't seem like anything happened, although I wouldn't want anything to happen on the formation lap. We've got quite a varied grid. We've got 2 Ferraris, 2 BMWs, 2 Porsches, and the rest is Corvette, but that's varied enough for me. Obviously, we are missing an Aston Martin obviously for the GT grid, but obviously before that comes to iRacing, it might still be some time. For LMP2, everyone's the Dallara. Obviously, we only have one LMP2 car in iRacing currently. Well, if you minus the HPD, because that's outdated now. Doesn't seem like anyone's doing the classic weave from Formula 1 to warm the tyre. Doesn't seem to work as well in iRacing. Oh, we do see a little bit of a weave from Daniel Thomas. Gives me the contradiction straight away. So we're slowly coming towards the end of the lap. Hopefully the drivers have a bit more heat in the tyres and brakes. We never really saw much of tyre warming, or at least dedicated tyre warming from the drivers, so it'll be quite interesting to see how can they do into turn 1. Maybe not many massive understeer, hopefully. That understeer into turn 1 can get very deadly. If there's someone on your outside, we have to be very careful. So the race will be beginning very shortly. We'll watch Alex go lead the grid off. Number 99 in the PPR, Esports and DaveCam League Tier 1. So now we just got Sansa left, the pace car will come in. We see Alex Valhalla doing some very, very drastic weaving there. Looks like the car really wants to let go. So we'll go from chopper cam and see how quickly Alex can go and how much of a gap he earns into turn 1. So Tom is quite far behind Alex right now. Pace car's in. Alex still has yet to go. Alex goes, and we are racing at Sebring. We do see a fantastic start from Wooten Ellison. He gets past Harry Brooks, and now into turn 1 we go. Can Alex stay ahead? Yes, he can. He's already got a bit of a gap. Wooten Ellison is trying to stay ahead of Harry Brooks, and he does. Not many more overtakes. We do see Chris Scarr staying ahead of Adam Banfield, defending there. Alex goes a bit wide out of turn 3. So that's Tom in the lead now. Cold tyres there, Alex. So now we're down the straight. Let's see if anything happened in the GT grid. So we have Dan Bull leading off with Bill Riggle and Chris running off the podium. I believe we've seen Jack Ando crash. So let's see what happened there. So obviously I think the GTs went green into sunset. So Jack Andrews the Corvette, and oh, he loses it. Cold tires, he accelerated a bit early. So we've seen LMP2s mixed up with GTs, so that's another event. So GT hadn't had that much of a shake-up. Obviously Jack Andrews dropped back to the back, and that's what happened there. Daniel Thomas is off the track. So let's first see what happened to Alex Valhalla. So Alex Valhalla just went in too fast and he sent the PPR car flying. So we have to see that from another angle. So he just went in too fast and he sent that PPR car and Daniel Thomas flying off. There's definitely going to be some questions asked about that one. And then we also saw Daniel Thomas come off track. He got spun around by Alex Valhalla there as well. Let's see Alex Valhalla's view from this. Okay, that's not ideal, sorry. So going into the corner. Why is it? Yeah, you just gave him a bit of a tap there. Okay, so there's definitely going to be some questions asked for Alex Valhalla. What happened? Why did that happen? And we did see Harry Brooks just make a move on Alex Gall into the hairpin, so Alex is losing places left, right and centre. He's already 2 seconds off the leader, so let's quickly show the gap to the leader for each driver. So Daniel Thomas is already in a bad position. Adam Banfield and Alex Valhalla are out of the race. Adam Banfield may have had a crash. Let's quickly see what happened there. So into turn 1. His engine just blew. His engine just blew. This is what I meant about the curbs being just dangerous. So that's his race over. It's going to be 30 minutes of repairs in the pits. That's very unlucky for him. So Alex is still fighting with Harry, and they're 2 seconds off. Alex does make a move. Is he ahead though? Yes, he is. So now we've got the chopper on board. Going into sunset, Alex will stay ahead, but can Harry make a move on it? We've also got some fighting between Edward Hope and Eric Newman, and obviously the top four, fighting for the podium right now. Derek Ekman is also chasing after Brian LaRue, so Alex does seem to have the move done. So that's great for him. So we'll hop on with Derek Ekman. So we've got Daniel Thomas trying to get past and catch up. But obviously he's 30 seconds off Chris Scar currently. So he gets past both of the GTs, that's Brian LaRue and Derek Ekman before sunset. Could have been a bit dangerous if he had to go through sunset with the two GTs in front of him. So we do see double fights right now. I've heard a crash currently, we'll see what's going on soon. Beauregard lost some time, he's been overtaken by Chris Barrett, so I think we may get the replay of that in a moment. He's also losing positions again. Okay, we're gonna have to look at that in a moment. So let's see what's happening on the front. Okay, so Chris Barrett may have just overtaken Buda. I don't think Buda necessarily did anything wrong there. I heard a crash, but that may have just been iRacing sounds. I think he may have just went a bit too deep into turn 1 or turn 2, for instance. So we see Daniel Thomas slowly catching up, overtaking the GT grid. It's obviously they're not lapped, so they don't really have to yield, but trying his best to get through them as quickly as possible. Harry Brooks is still on the tail of Alex, obviously 9 tenths now, so it's not ideal. But we have Chris Scar 5 tenths off Wooten Ellison and getting that slipstream on the Omen straight into sunset we go now. Alex goes trying his best to catch up to Tom Conadama, but that's 2 seconds to him already. So Tom, our consecutive P2 finisher, is currently in the lead. Obviously Alex is eager to catch up to him after his mistake on lap 1, going a bit too deep, but he has to still catch up and make the overtake. So we'll see. It's 5 minutes in, we've got 40 minutes left. But we do see a massive fight in the GT grid. Daniel Thomas is trying to get past all the GTs now. Just got a few more left, 4 more to be exact. Blue Wiggles following Chris Barrett quite closely. Obviously, he lost the position after going a little bit wide. We know that much. So now he's going to get the slipstream. Chris gets a bit of a better exit. Boo doesn't seem like he wants... Oh, Boo's letting Daniel past. It doesn't seem like he wants to really attack yet. He's going to stay quite close behind, maybe wait for a better opportunity, which is a very reasonable thing to do. But the GT grid seems very close right now. Obviously, we've got more GTs than LMP2s now, especially after the 2 crashes we've had. So William Hope in the Corvette now after 2 races in the Porsche does seem to be doing a little bit bad on his teammate Edward Hope. Obviously, there's roughly 2 seconds between them, so it's not that bad. But I do think William definitely switched to the Corvette because he felt faster in it or more comfortable. Whatever it may be, it definitely made him faster for in some way. Unless Sebring's his better track. So we do see quite a good fight mounting to be for P2. It's currently between P2 and P3 for P2 and P4 and P5 for P4. And P7 and P6 for P6. Obviously the battle box will show a bit differently. Jack Andrewick is 16 seconds off P9. He had a bit of his own off, let's say. So we have kind of duo fights, 1v1s. Everyone's just having their own scrap right now. In LMP2, Alex is trying to chase after Tom right now, and Harry's dropped back quite a bit now. He was 1 second off, now he's 1.5 seconds off. So that's quite a lot of time lost to Alex, and Woot and Ellison has slowly pulled away from Chris Scar. Obviously they're still having a bit of a fight there, but Chris isn't able to put as much pressure on Wooter anymore, so Wooter can probably pull away a bit more easily. So we aren't seeing any moves being done currently, but we do see cars very close together. Derek Ekmanis is in the pit lane. Did something happen? Derek Ekmanis has crashed apparently. Let's see what happened. Go. Well, that's not Derek Ekmanis. Okay, Derek Ekmanis was going down the straight. That's the Allman straight right there. He went in too fast, locked the wheels and just slammed into the wall. The tyre wall right there. So that might actually be race over. He's out of the points now. So he's in the pits, he's kind of doing his pit stop. Oh, he came out of the pits now. That was a fast pit stop. Let's see what's going on with him. So that's his bonnet fixed. So maybe it wasn't that much of a big shunt, but he definitely had to do it. I don't think he would be able to keep going and do decent laps. So now he's lost a lot of time behind Jack Andrewick, 20 seconds behind Jack Andrewick to be exact. And the first MP2s are coming by. That'll be Tom Darman, followed by Alex Gore, followed by Harry Brooks. They're 10 seconds behind him currently. So let's hop on board back with Boo Wiggle, who's still chasing after Chris and isn't able to make that move yet. Same with Zach Volson not being able to make the move on William Hope. Dan Bull has seemed to pull away a bit, 3 seconds ahead of Chris Barrett. That BMW does seem to be very fast currently. So into sunset, Boo gets much closer than we'd expect, really. Can he get a good exit? It seemed like Chris might get a better exit there. Obviously visibility is quite poor behind a car. He does have the slipstream there though, so into turn 1 he should have a bit more speed. He does have to... he goes a bit faster actually. Very close between these two. It's amazing how they're both able to keep their composure. Now onto the straight after turn 4. Camera not giving us the perfect view. Is Boo gonna try and make a move here? It's 3 times between them. I don't think he'll be able to reach. William Hope is staying ahead of Zach Vorster as well. And same with Brian LaRue staying ahead of Eric Newman. Chris Carr is still got roughly the same gap to Wooten Nelson, and the gap between Alex Go and Tom Dalman is decreasing lap by lap. We're on lap 7 currently for the LMP2s. And they will be coming around to lap the first GTEs if they aren't doing that already. And I think Adam Banfield is actually back on track. I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, he is. Let's see. Yes, back on track. Wonderful work by the engineers for PPR Esports. Honestly, getting the car back on track after an engine blowout like that. That was very random, actually. We're definitely gonna have to see what happened there, because I'm really not sure. So let's see the last sectors between Tom Dalman and Alex Go. So it seems like Alex made a mistake in sector 2. Lost 8 tenths of time there, and he was 1.3 seconds ahead, but he's gaining in the other sectors currently. Still continuing that gain, roughly at least a tenth through the sectors where he's weak at, and a lot more, half a second on the other sectors. So he's reeling in Tom. This will be the fight we'll be watching, because the other fights are currently just hot pursuits, really. But Alex really wants to catch Tom and take that lead. That will be his first win if he can carry it to the end. But Alex wants his third win now, so it's not like he's going to let off. So over the course of a few laps, we've seen Alex actually being faster than Harry Brooks every single lap so far, really, and being that much faster than Tom Dalman. So he's definitely the fastest man on track currently. Let's see the best laps. Yeah, best lap wise, we've got Dan Ball, who's 6 tenths quicker on his fastest lap than Chris Barrett, but that 3-second gap between them might actually be decreasing slowly. And we see Alex Go being 2 tenths quicker than Tom's fastest lap. So Alex is the man to watch for LMP2, and Dan Bull as well for GT for the wins in this category. Obviously Tom will try his best to defend, but I think it's inevitable that Alex will reach striking distance, especially when traffic comes around, which will be in 7 seconds on the relative. So as I was saying before, the hot pursuits in GT haven't been really changing. There hasn't really been much of an overtake going on, and the gaps aren't really, maybe increasing a little bit now between the cars. So now we've got those little packs of cars fighting in GT while this slowly starts burning out. William Hope is 3 seconds behind Boo Rigor, so that's the podium positions, 3 seconds away from him. But obviously Zach Wolster's also putting under pressure, so that's 3 seconds to the podium for Zach as well. But there haven't been many overtakes going on right now. We can hop on board with one of the GT drivers to see what's going on, but they're definitely going to have to put a lot of pressure if they want to get past each other. Can the BMW get enough top speed down the straight? No, he cannot. He gained a little bit of time, but not enough really. Both of them taking slightly different lines, but I don't think he'll be able to make a move anytime soon. He'll just have to stick behind. And also the same goes for Burigo. That's a bit of a lockup. That's a lockup for Adam Banfield, who recently came back into the race. Didn't seem to go off track, he just went wide. It also says Harry Brooks went off track, so that may be in a little bit of going wide. So now going through the Sebring S's, yet again a hot pursuit, but just isn't able to do anything. Maybe through Sunset you'll be able to try and make a move, but let's see how he gains on the almost straight. There's obviously Adam Banfield trying to re-overtake the two DTs, but Chris Barrett seems to be actually gaining. He got a faster exit, now he's losing a bit of time, but not enough. So yeah, again, Burigo has to just tuck in behind, and same goes for Zach Wolster. They just aren't able to make moves currently. But Alex Go is now 1 second off Connor Dowman. So it's slow. He's slowly reeling him in. There's traffic incoming, but that might actually help Alex. If Tom can't get through the traffic quickly enough or be assertive enough with the traffic, he will have to give up the lead. You can see the two different liveries, two different teams really fighting for the well, not the championship lead, but for the race win right now. Even if Tom wins this race, he will not have the championship lead. He will have to win another one, at least to maybe be close. But fastest lap wise, Alex still gets the extra points, so that is definitely not a pace win, shall I say. Not to discredit Tom, but Alex is the fastest man on track right now. So Tom gets past that Brian LaRue quite quickly through the hairpin. Alex Go loses a 10th of time there. Obviously he has to tuck in behind, he won't do a reckless dive. And then we see Tom going past Eric Newman. Clean move. We see Alex Go having to do a bit of... he had to move across to obviously move to the inside. I was thinking about the outside, but he had to go to the inside. So 1.1 seconds still, so Alex didn't lose that much time in the traffic. We did see Edward Hope catch up to Zach Vorster now, they're half a second away. Half a second apart, sorry. So now we have a freeway fight, 4p4. So Edward Hope is slowly catching up to his teammate, and while William Hope is actually losing time to the podium position, so that's unlucky for him. So now we see Tom diving past Edward Hope into Sunset Curve. Alex is a bit too far to even try and follow him through, but now we can get on the straight, which is much easier for him. So now the 7/10s between Tom Dowman, and we've got the BMW of Zach Vorsten and William Hope. Alex Go can get past him into turn 1, obviously a bit of a compromised line while he's chasing after Tom Dowman. 9 temps now, so obviously lost a little bit of time there. This is coming out to be a very, very good fight. Obviously, the LMP2 lapping cars didn't really help out with the fight between William Hope, Zach Vorst and Edward Hope. But now maybe he can help Burigo catch up to Chris Barrett if the LMP2 slow him down. So now that's 2 seconds to Burigo. Let's see how quickly Tom Connor Dowman can catch up. Adam Banfield is out of this race again, I think. He's in the pits, he had to tow. We'll see what happened in a moment. Obviously there's a great championship fight, or race win fight. So will Tom go for the dive here? Obviously there's another Corvette, there's a Ferrari in front of him of Chris Barrett. He dives in, slows down Burigo a little bit. He has to slow down Chris Barrett to make it even now. He's gonna get back fairly easily now. Alex Go will have to stay behind Burigo a little bit. Can make a move round the inside now. Now he has to catch up to Chris Barrett and get past. Obviously he may lose a little bit of time here. He's losing a ton of time. He's now 1.7 seconds behind. He had to lift off to avoid Chris Barrett. So now he has to gain all that time back on Tom Connor Dowman. Obviously we know he is the fastest man on track, but if traffic keeps coming by, he won't be able to really catch up to Tom and make an overtake. So that's 20 minutes in the race, and Alex Go still has yet to make the overtake for the lead. If Tom can keep this up and keep defending as soon as traffic comes by, it's honestly going to be very interesting towards the end. And Burigo's in the pits. So that's the first pit stop. This might be an undercut. I don't think Burigo had any damage, so that's it. So now we can hop on with what happened to Adam Banfield. He went in deep. I don't think his engine blew that time. I think he just gave up, honestly. When your engine blows like that and you're that far behind, maybe it's not even really worth for you to race that much anymore. Sorry, I worded it wrong. It's not really worth it for you to try and fight for scraps, really. You won't catch up. How much is that? That was 2 minutes, so that's a whole lap. An unlucky race for Adam Banfield. I think he was the one that got slammed into on the hairpin by Alex Valhalla, and that's his engine blew eventually. So that was really unlucky. He was just a bystander into the hairpin. So now we see the two Hope brothers fighting. Edward Hope may actually try and move here. Now he lifts off. He doesn't really want to attack his teammate. They're two different cars now, so they're not really brothers anymore. They're still teammates though. Edward Hope, remember what I said about that corner with the tyres being dangerous there. You have to be careful, take a wider line unless you want to really risk a slide. And we see Alex go 7/10 away from Tom Conadano, so he does catch up yet again. But we have Zach Borster chasing up Edward Hope, but Edward Hope, I think, is faster. Last lap he was faster than both William and Zach. So Edward seems to have very good pace from the mid-pack right now. Maybe a chance to fight for the podium is there, but 8 seconds away from the podium positions is not ideal for him. And now we see Root and Nelson get past both of the Hope teammates. Alex Go lost time yet again, maybe lapping Danball. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was definitely faster on that one lap though. So we see the Corvette, Porsche and BMW coming down the start-finish straight, very close between these three. It seems like these are the only fights going on right now. Obviously Alex is trying to catch up to Tom, but 22 minutes in with just 23 minutes remaining, I don't really think Alex can afford to waste time, whether it's by accident or by purpose. So for the last few laps, sorry, there we go. Last few laps, it's actually been hit or miss for Alex. He's been faster throughout most of them, but he did lose a lot of time behind traffic on lap 11, so that was 2 laps ago. And now he's back on the tail of Tom, but he has to close that gap and hope there's no traffic. Currently, they've got 30 seconds clear of Daniel Thomas and 40 seconds clear of P10 Derek Ekmanis. So this is currently the fight I'm going to be watching. Obviously the fight for the podium right now, because obviously Burigo had to box in a bit early for the undercut. So provisional podium is still there, but I don't think there'll be a move currently made. The Hope brothers, the Hope teammates may actually be a bit more passive with each other, obviously not to slow each other down and give Zach Bolster a chance to overtake them both. So 6/10 separates them now. Alex was 4/10 quicker that lap roughly, taking it very tight through turn 1, using all the track limits he can. Into turn 2 they go. Tom may have got a bit of a string of better corners than now. It's 8/10 between them. And also, I should point out that it's a shame that Jamie Lawrence couldn't join us. He couldn't actually make it home on time. And we see Brian LaRue box. That might be an undercut box as well. I'm pretty sure it is. We don't see him go off track or have any incidents. So Jack Andrewick takes P7, obviously it's provisional P7, because Brian LaRue boxed from a high position. Burigo gets past now, so that's one less car he has to fight with. Obviously he'll have to, Burigo will probably wait for the cars to box in, since he is not that close to them yet. The gap between P3 and P4 and P4 and P5 is not really increasing or decreasing right now, it's staying very stable. It's under that second, so you do get that perfect slipstream, but they aren't able to make the move, obviously. You're putting on the pressure, but they're not really making mistakes. So now we're 25 minutes in, so that's just 20 minutes left. And now let's go, goes for the undercut. That's very interesting. An undercut pit stop from the LMP2s. Will we see Tom Dalman try and counter the undercut by boxing next lap, or will he keep going? And we see Howie Brooks box as well, and Chris Scarr. So everyone's boxing at the same time roughly. Tom Dalman, our leader, is currently staying up. Ruth and Nelson followed in the other LMP2s into the box, so now that's most of the current LMP2 field that's still running, with the exception of Daniel Thomas in the pits. Derek Equanis has gone off track. Something has happened. I think he locked his wheels there and went a bit deep. Nothing really more than that, no damage, thankfully. So now we've seen the first cars come out of the pits, so it does seem like Alex Go has came out, and he came out in front of GTE traffic. Well, P3 and P4, obviously he's got P2 and P1 still to overtake. Harry Brooks is in P3 still. Chris Scar is in P4. Woot and Ellison is in P5, so it doesn't seem like anyone got overtaken. I think Ruta may have lost a little bit of time there. Wasn't looking exactly at the pit lane timings. We did see Edward Hope box though, so now he may have actually went for an undercut on William Hope and Zach Vorster. If it works out for him, because obviously he was stuck behind William Hope and couldn't really make an overtake, he will be ahead of them. If he can keep up his pace that he was at before, it will be fantastic for him. So Daniel Thomas boxed as well. Obviously he's quite far bit behind, so he won't really benefit from any undercuts or anything. And we see Tom Conadalman, as I said, he's boxing in now. He wants to counter the undercut, because if he's slower per lap, Alex Go will overtake him without even overtaking him on track. He doesn't have to fight on track if he can just be faster on per lap pace and overtake him while Tom's in the pits. So we'll see where Alex Go comes out. We get a bit of a slipstream from Chris Barrett. Dan Bull's a bit too far for to slow down Alex Go. So we'll see. Where does Tom Conadalman come out? We've got 700 meters between them. It's just Sunset Curve. So we can literally see Dan Bull coming into the box now. Alex Go coming in through Sunset Curve. And that's Tom exiting the pits. That's Alex Go hammering the throttle down. And Tom Conadalman does exit ahead of Alex Go. And that's going to be 1.5 seconds between them. So maybe not necessarily lost time, but we do see most of the GTE grid box now. Dan Bull, Chris Barrett, William Hope, Zach Vorster, all are in the pits. And did we see Edward Hope's undercut work? So he's coming down the Ulman Straight. The other cars are in the pits right now. Jack Andwick boxes in as well. Buiwigo obviously will gain positions now. So let's see where Buiwigo ends up. Dan Bull's exiting the pits, Chris Barrett's exiting the pits. So where will Buiwigo end up? He was in P3, I believe, before. So he's back in P3. That's not P2, no wonder the undercut didn't really work. Let's see where Edward Hope comes out though. So William Hope and Zach Vorster on the pit exit. William Hope is in P4. I think I've seen someone engine blow in the pits. So that's okay, so Edward Hope doesn't actually end up overtaking William Hope. He's still on the tail, and Zach Vorster loses a little bit of time to Edward and William. So that may be a bit of a fueling thing. So Brian LaRue. Something happened to Brian LaRue. Jack Andwick is exiting the pits now. Let's see what happened to Brian LaRue. I'm not too sure myself, really. Oh, he just completely... Oh, I think his car just went a bit loose and he countersteered to correct it and just went into the wall. Unlucky for him. That's going to be some damage. So Daniel Thomas is having an unlucky race, getting spun out by Alex Valhalla and getting basically punted by Alex Valhalla, who is no longer in the race for the last 9 laps or so. Adam Banfield was also out of this race. And other than that, everyone is currently driving, trying their best to catch up. Even Daniel Thomas, who's 1 minute behind, and he's got in the back of his mind that he's really not gonna get anything better than P6. He's still gonna get those points for finishing if he tries. So Alex Go is 1.4 seconds behind Tom Conadalman. We've got 15 minutes remaining, and Alex still has yet to make the move. Alex has to make the move very soon. Catch up, make the move, and then stay ahead. Because otherwise, he's going to have to give up the win. And I think that might actually what happen. I'll predict now that Alex Go will not be the race winner for this race. Tom is doing a great job of protecting his lead. He's keeping it. He's maybe even if he's not faster, he's definitely defending very well. So we'll hop on with Edward Hope. The 2 Hope teammates still fighting, and Zach Wilson not able to close the gap currently. So we see Derek Ekmanis boxing. Obviously, he's not in a fight currently. Jack Andwick leapfrogs him into P8 now. Brian LaRouche should leapfrog Derek McManus as well, so the two PPR drivers are on the back of the grid currently. We see Zach Vorster in the distance between the two Hope teammates, and Edward Hope is not actually making the move on William. Is this some sort of team tactics? Edward could have made a dive there, so I think he's just trying to wait for the perfect move where he's actually ahead. But that's 2 times between them. We can honestly expect a move very soon. And yet again, we see him lift off a bit, but look how dirty those cars are. 30 minutes at Sebring, and look how dirty he is. And oh, there's been a move done by Alex. They're side by side going into turn 2. What's going to happen here? So Alex is ahead. We're going to have to watch that move again. So into turn 1, he actually makes the move. That is impressive. No, going down to turn 2, they were side by side as well still. So that's fantastic. Fantastic racing by the two. Nearly made contact there. I think Tom had to just lift off, not to touch Alex there, but that was a fantastic squeeze from Alex and a fantastic move into turn 1. It's not the one you'd expect. No pun intended. So Alex has to just keep this lead, pull away maybe a little bit, and just stay ahead of any traffic. Meanwhile, Zach Vorster has gained time. That's a whole second nearly gain, while the two Hope teammates are still staying behind each other. Edward's literally pushing William through these corners, even though William did show very good pace in practice, a lot faster than his teammate. And that's Edward going through the corner. Oh, that's contact. The two Hope teammates had the collision into turn 1. The LMP2's made a move through turn 1, but that's it for... that's heavy damage, that's steering damage. Oh, we have to watch that again. So we see Edward going for the move into turn 1, going for a bit of, not even a dive there, but he gets a bit of, oh, he had counter-steered and just went in front of his teammate, came across and got spun out there. Not Williams' fault, Edward just had a bit of a snap really there. Ah, that's really unlucky. Getting very close with Eric Newman as well. Well, that's Edward out of the contention for P4. William also lost time there, so Zach Vorster is P4. As I said before, if those two make a mistake or scrap or fight too hard, Zach will just get past, and that's what happened here. Obviously, Zach won't be able to think about a podium when there's only 12 minutes remaining and he's 9 seconds off the podium positions, but he can hope for P4, which is very strong points. It's all he could have wanted, really. The two have a collision, and that's it. William can try and catch up, but I don't think anything will happen. Meanwhile, Tom Connor-Darman is putting the pressure on Alex Go, obviously. He wants that lead back. He lost time through the hairpin there. Oh, okay, so he definitely may have had a bit of a lock-up one a bit deep into the hairpin. So now there's just no real fights going on right now. Obviously, very unlucky for Edward Hope. What happened? That could have been P4 for Edward Hope, now it's P7, maybe even probably P8. Or, no, she's going to be P10 after he boxes. Let's see where he currently is on track. Let's see if he boxes. Yeah, he can barely keep the car straight. That's very dangerous. He can't tow it if he doesn't want to really lose that much time, but that's P10 for him. He won't be able to regain anything. So that's Daniel Thomas coming out behind him. Chris Scar overtakes Ruta Nelson. I think Ruta had a bit of an off-track adventure. So that's going to be the Porsche of Edward Hope boxing in, and that's pretty much race over for him. You can finish the race and get those points from P10, I believe. But that's it for him. Very unlucky. But that's how it is with racing. Getting some incorrect timing data between Alex Go and Tom Connor-Darman. I'm not sure why. So that is Edward Hope coming out of the pits now. So Derek McManus is coming down the start-finish straight. Edward Hope is coming out. Can Derek McManus actually get P9? No, he cannot. That is a good 5 seconds between them. I don't think he'll be able to close it in 10 minutes. But anything is possible. That's 4 seconds actually, sorry. Zach Vorster is out, apparently. Wait, let's see. Okay, that was wrong. That was sure why the timing chart showed that. It's not the same issue we had before though. Ruta Nelson and Chris Scott are quite close together now. Obviously Ruta had a bit of an off-track adventure and gave up P4 for that. 2 seconds between them though, and 2 seconds between Alex Go and Tom Connor-Darman. A bit of desync for Ruta Nelson right there. A bit of a slide coming into the straight now. So quite an eventful race towards the end now. Very unlucky for Edward Hope what happened, and obviously at the start, Alex Valhalla going far too fast, going into the hairpin and taking out 2 drivers. Adam Banfield's race is over from there, and Daniel Thomas obviously was not very happy with that either. First he got roughly picked up by Alex Valhalla and punted, and then he also got spun out. Very unlucky for him. As I said before, questions are going to be asked. We're not sure if there's going to be a penalty. Obviously, I don't have that sort of authority to tell you who will get a penalty, but from my eyes, that definitely looked like Alex Valhalla's fault, coming in far too deep when everyone was very close together into the hairpin. So right now, we don't really have many fights. It's just whoever can stay ahead and just stay consistent towards the end. We've got 9 minutes. I don't think anyone can really close the gap of roughly 4 seconds or 2 seconds even. So right now, it's just bring the car home, really. Everyone's really accepted the positions they're going to be in. Obviously, Derek McManus could have maybe got that P9, but it wasn't very lucky for him. This race wasn't perfect. Not to discredit him, but obviously it wasn't his ideal race. Would have been ideal for him if he could have actually made that one position by just driving along. Oh, I also forgot to make the predictions before the start of the race. We had no commentators curse this race, and yet events happened. Unlucky things happened. But Alex Go is now 3 seconds ahead of Tom. I won't say anything yet, but I was wrong with my bet. Ruta Madison is very close to Chris Scarno. There was obviously Derek McManus getting lapped there, so maybe these two can have a bit of a scrap, giving us some well-needed action towards the end of the race. Obviously, the start of the race wasn't that eventful, but now we have all the events going on. So into the 90-degree right-hander. So Ruta tries to, doesn't actually attack that hard, doesn't go in that fast from the outside. So the 2 drivers are very close together now. Daniel Thomas boxes in, so obviously his race, I think he's boxing for fuel. I'm not sure. No, not for fuel, maybe damage. Not fuel, it's gotta be fuel. So these 2 drivers are fighting for P4 currently. We've got Edward Hope in P9 currently there as well, just having to get that. So let's see. Ruta's gonna get that slipstream from the Porsche of Edward Hope, and he's gonna try and maybe get some slipstream from Chris Scar. Half a second separates them now into Sunset Curve. We've got roughly 6 minutes left, so that's a good 3-4 laps maybe, probably 3 laps. Ruta trying to get on the floor as early as possible, trying to get as much speed down the straight. Obviously he lost a bit of time. Daniel Thomas is coming out of the pits now, doesn't really interrupt the fight. Howie Brooks has gone off track, I heard that. Well, he seems to be fine. I heard an explosion noise, but that may have just been something weird. Okay, yeah, nothing happened. We're fine. So this is the current fight we're going to be watching towards the end, probably. I don't think anyone will be able to close in, but we did see Dan Bull lose some time to Chris Barrett over the course of this race. It was 3 seconds, now it's 2.4. I think it was 4-5 seconds before. So now Chris is slowly... The lap times aren't really decreasing between them, but Chris is finding some time somewhere where Dan isn't. But right now we've got a sort of car manufacturer standings grid. We've got the BMW in first, then the Ferrari, Corvette, BMW again, and then a lot of Corvettes, Porsches, and then the Ferrari rounding off the grid. So we've got 40 minutes, with 40 minutes on the clock, 5 minutes remaining. And 5 minutes of action, hopefully. I think Wuta and Chris will provide us with that action. I do want to see a move being made here. Maybe at least an attempt. Right now the pressure is being applied. Chris doesn't seem to be making any major mistakes. Traffic is very spread out though, so traffic may slow one of them down. We've got Jack Anderwick next, 12 seconds away. But what's 12 seconds for an LMP2 car? It's nothing, honestly. So to turn 1, let's see how close to the wall can Ruta get. Not as close as the other drivers, but obviously that's his line. Half a second separates them. I think Ruta may have lost some time to Chris. Chris may be putting a bit more on the line to just keep his car ahead of Ruta. We're talking about a difference of quite a few points between P4 and P5. I think we're using the F1 scoring system for the most part, with the extra point for pole position as well, not just fastest lap. So let's see who will be getting the points for the fastest laps. It will be Alex Go yet again for the third time, and Dan Bull for the first time in GTE. So that's 1 extra point for both of them, for both of our current race leaders. So they will extend their gap a bit further. Alex Go will extend his gap quite a bit further, while Dan Bull tries to close in on the standings. I'm not sure how much closer he is. It says here on my event list that Harry Brooks has crashed. Let's see. Looks like he's fine. Maybe he had some damage from the curb. We're definitely not in replay mode, so I know that much. Doesn't seem like he had damage, so maybe my timings are just wrong. In the distance we see Ruta and Chris fighting. Obviously the timings blocked it a little bit there. So we've got Jack Handwick in front of them. What did I say? 12 seconds at the start of the lap. Now it's just 1 second. So they will definitely have to watch out for Jack Handwick. I think they'll be able to catch him on the straight though, which should be okay for them. So we've got 3 minutes remaining. That should be 2 laps. Ruta's using all of that slipstream 3 times between them. He's going to have a compromised line into turn 1 though. Yeah, Chris gets a bit... Yeah, he gains a solid 3 times through that because of the compromised line on Ruta's side. Chris is staying ahead, doing a very good job on defending his position without really even defending physically. He's just trying his best to pull out the best laps he can, get past the traffic perfectly, and just keep the car rolling, really. The moment he just slows down a little bit, Ruta will be all over him and getting past him probably. So we've got 2 minutes remaining. Alex is our race leader, ahead of Tom, with 4 seconds of a lead, so I think that's higher than it was at Spa towards the end. And quite an eventful race for Alex. Obviously, he tried multiple times to get past Tom while he's closed the gap to Tom. But he wasn't able to, really. But we did see the move in a very, very interesting place, which was turn 1. It's not the one I'd expect, and from quite far bit behind. Maybe he gained a lot of time at the start, finish straight. Obviously, we can take a look at it later, at the end of the race. Well, it's near the end of the race. We should be down to the last lap, so we'll hop on board with Alex Go because Ruta and Chris are 1 second apart now, so I don't think anything will be able to happen. So Alex Go has begun the last lap, I believe. We've got 1 minute remaining. 1 minute 40 is the rough lap. 1 minute 40 to 1 minute 50. So I believe this should have been the white flag lap. So we'll stay on board just in case he is on the white flag lap. If he's not, we'll still we'll maybe switch back. We've got 9 times between Chris and Ruta, but obviously I don't think Ruta is able to close the gap in the last 1 or 2 laps. He was very close, but he lost time, and that's really unlucky for him. Meanwhile, Dan Bull has actually gained a lot of time with Chris Bauer, and Chris Bauer has gone off track. Came back on track, but he lost time to Buwigor. So Buwigor, our race winner from Spa, is now on the podium yet again. Obviously, it's not the top stop of the podium as he'd probably want, but it's P3. So what more could he hope for, really? So that's race over. 45 minutes on the clock, so it should be the final lap. The final few corners. We'll see Alex Go going down the Almond Straight, and then finally the last time around sunset for him. Well, it should be the last time around sunset. On sunset he goes. Coming down the start-finish straight. And that's the race win for Alex Go for the 3rd time in a row. In the last 3 races, it's all been Alex Go on the top. And Tom Dalman has to live with P2 even though he was in the lead for a solid bit of the race. So P1, P2 for the last 3 races for these 2 drivers. In GT, congratulations to Dan Bull. Fantastic race by him. He was on top in practice, in qualifying, and in the race for a very long time. He didn't even have the lead. There was no lead switch between them. Chris Barrett drove a fantastic race, as actually he has done for the last few races. Even if he wasn't the fastest, he drove a fantastic race, and very good job by Bouregor. Chris Scar and Ruta got very close towards the end. I believe it was 3 times between them. Harry Brooks tried his best. A podium is also very good for him. Obviously, wasn't he was the fastest in practice, but didn't really didn't turn out to be his race for the taking. Unlucky for Edward Hope, who had a very, very unlucky incident with his teammate. It's not what you want, and as I said, as we watched them actually, be very careful with each other. It sucks that it ended up for them like that, at least for Edward. Alex Valhalla and Adam Banfield had very unlucky races, and that also ended up being unlucky for Daniel Thomas, who got spun out and ended up very far behind. So now, let's go to the scenic camera, and let's get the results. So we'll start off with the LMP2 results. Alex Gold takes his 3rd win of the season, 5 seconds ahead of Tom Connor-Darmon, who takes his 3rd P2 finish. Harry Brooks has to settle for the bottom step of the podium, 28 seconds off. Chris Scar and Ruta Nelson, P4, P5, just 2 tenths separates them. Daniel Thomas, 1 lap down, obviously unlucky race for him. Teammate with Harry, so they have to be happy with that podium result. The team will be happy for them anyways. Adam Banfield and Alex Valhalla couldn't finish the race after the unlucky incidents, so that's it for the LMP2 grid. It wasn't that big as we expected it to be, so that's 6 drivers who have finished the race. In GT, we've got Dan Bull, the race winner for iRacing.gg Esports, 8 seconds ahead of Chris Barrett, who finished P2 in his Ferrari for GTN Racing. Bouregor, our race winner from Spa, has to settle for the bottom step of the podium in P3, 10 seconds off. Zach Vorster drove a very good race, got very lucky with the 2 Hope teammates having issues, so got P4, 22 seconds behind the leader. William Hope had to settle on P5, even though he was in P4 for a very long time ahead of Zach. Obviously, the incident slowed both of them down, so that was unlucky for them. 25 seconds off. Eric Newman settles in P6. Jack Anderwick in P7, 41 seconds off. Brian Maru, 57 seconds off in P8. Edward Hope, after a very unlucky race, is in P9, 1 minute 4 off, and Derek Ekmanis finishes 3 seconds behind Edward Hope and rounds off the grid, 1 minute 7 down. So that's it for the race. Thank you all for watching, and as usual, see you next time. And obviously, if you have any suggestions for the league or for the broadcast, please hit us up on the Discord. See you next time.